Unlimited news this week on 7.0 to go with our discussion of unlimited gear power over time. That and more on this episode of the Escape Podcast for Star Wars The Old Republic. Our broadcast aspect today is EPC 403. And playing alongside me is Seema. Hi, Seema. How is it going?
Oh my gosh, Max, there's so much news this week.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, there is.
I mean, it's crazy. But I'll start off by saying, I'll just go briefly. So I did make my Feast of Prosperity goals, which was I wanted to get to 100% achievement, and I did. And I did make my Renown goal of getting the 8 classes to 100.
Oh, that's good. We'll talk about why, but that's really good.
I did kind of play with the idea of trying to get to 999, but of course I in light of recent news, I'm not going to do that now because I wouldn't make it by 7.0. So.
Oh, I don't know.
No, I wouldn't. Because
you did 800. I mean, well, you didn't do 800, but you probably did 500 in the amount of time that you've done so far, right?
Well, I'll think about it. That's a problem for tomorrow, me.
Touche.
I'm afraid if I say for future me, it'll be too far in the future. Anyway, but yeah, so on this week I took a little Renown break and I was just doing sort of like conquest stuff, not thinking about Renown. And I'm kind of glad that it's a week in between events for the same reason. But I do want to say, like on during MFN this week, we went to Hoth and we did the Tauntaun thing, which we had done before, but this time BC had organized it enough or a little bit different so that we got a bunch of the Tauntaun, everyone got a bunch of the Tauntaun domestication data, which is the item that you need. You need to get either 15 of them or 20 of them to be able to turn them in for a Tauntaun to the vendor. And we got quite a bit done. In fact, I'm pretty sure I have some domestication data somewhere else. So with that and the ones I have somewhere else, if I ever find them, I have enough for a new Tauntaun, I'm sure.
Cool.
So that was, and that was fun.
There's 2
and
to get.
We
so
told
that's
jokes
good.
and stuff and danced while we were doing it. It was fun. And then tonight in our ops team, we went and ran Nature of Progress because we're sort of after something there.
Gods from the Machine.
Yes, Gods from the Machine. I meant that. I did not mean Nature of Progress, even though I wrote that. Gods from the Machine. Because we're after the Esne doll for one of our members, who's for Thon, who's like into.
Yeah, so he wants the control. Yeah, the control module for an achievement, where you can then use that control module with the items the currency that drops to be Esne and walk around, and that's one of the last ones he still needs.
Right, and right. So, and we're like we're just glad to have a reason to do one. So
right.
Our plan for the rest of the year as an ops team is we're going to run next week or maybe the next 2 weeks, whatever it works out to. But then starting with Thanksgiving, we're going to take basically the rest of the year off, do a little hiatus and come back after the holidays. And maybe at that point, well, now I'm talking about stuff that we're going to talk about in the news. So because I was going to mention the new operation, but yeah, so that's what I've been up to, and also reading a bunch of news. So Max, what have you been up to?
I've also been up to most of those same things, the MFN, the Ops Night stuff. We did decide to go do this because Thon is just tons of achievements. He's an achievement master. He wants this thing. And it made us realize that having a reason to go do a particular thing is good.
Makes it more fun.
It's
good.
And that'll feed into a lot of what we talk about in the second half of the show, which is the gear power and the gear levels and how those will change over time. And how my thinking is coming around that I kind of really like the direction they're going. So we'll get to that. But boy, news. Yes, I've been reading some news, looking at the news. There's been tons and tons of news. Too much news. I think there was some sort of embargo that lifted today because
Yes, that's a good point.
three mainstream gamer publications all came out at the same time this afternoon with articles. We'll talk about each one of them, but those three were all announced, and then another mainstream publication announcement was made, and then over the course of the past couple days, a bunch of stuff has gone up on the PTS and on blog posts and news articles and the dev tracker. Tons of things to go through. So we're going to dive right into that. I'm not going to spend too much time on what else I've been doing. It's really cool. So things are heating up. We are getting close. So let's dive into it. Let's talk about the news.
Now an Imperial News Network report.
So first up, we'll go through that mainstream gaming media roundup. Number 1, Fraser Brown. I don't know Fraser, but I like his name. Fraser, if you're listening, which you are not, I like your name, Fraser Brown. That is a good name for a writer. He writes for PCGamer.com and did a live interview, or not live, but did an interview with Charles, talked to Charles directly, talked to Charles a little bit. This I think was one of the more lightweight of the 3 articles that got published. Little bit of a lightweight discussion of story and how it works, and a little bit of a lightweight discussion of Malgus. He did ask a couple questions about class stories and why don't you do class stories anymore. It's only a couple paragraphs, but Charles sort of explained, kind of what we know is that it's 8 times almost 8 times the development work. So either, we can have some expansions, we can have a 7.0, or we can not, and maybe get 8 class stories done for some amount of content with 8 times the voiceover work and all of that kind of thing. So that is we get that. We know how that goes. So this was still interesting to see. PCGamer.com as the first of these articles, bunch of screenshots and notes in here and direct quotes from Charles. Great. So that's number 1.
Number 2 was in Games Radar by Alyssa Mercante. I like this article. It covers some of the same. She talks to Charles, and one of the things that they talk about was, what is it like working on a project that is not canon? And we've heard this from Charles before, that he feels like that leaves them a freedom to do to make the stories that they want to make. And that really comes through in this article. The thing that I like about it was she tried it out briefly, and I loved her quote about it, which is what she said. SWTOR certainly looks like a game that came out in 2011, but the plinky Star Wars music and the in-depth RPG elements get me hooked rather quickly, and that's without the streamlined Legacy of the Sith expansion elements. So, I think we've everyone who's listening to us right now has been through that experience of, when you first land on Ord Mantell or Tython or whatever, and the music is going, and you've got your, you get that moment where you're like, oh my God, I actually am Han Solo, or I actually am, a Jedi.
I'm in Star Wars.
I'm in the universe. Yeah.
And there's not a lot of ways to sort of live that Star Wars life like you really can in Star Wars: The Old Republic, and that's why it's a fun place to both visit and maybe come back to over time. I really agree.
He did touch a little bit here on combat styles, but like all these articles, it's at such a high level, it's kind of almost hard to recognize it as the same thing that we know about. But basically, he's saying that it allows you to customize your character more, which it does.
Right. And he's used this description before. Hey, remember Captain Rex from the Clone Wars and how he gets to dual wield pistols? You'll be able to do that on a trooper now, which you kind of will. It's still
I question whether that's we'll see. Whether you'll still feel like
at the 10,000 foot level. That's kind of the case.
That's true.
You'll be playing the trooper class story. You'll have all bounty hunter abilities, and you're basically your class. Your combat style is just all bounty hunter. it's still
Right.
going to be carbonized and and all those kinds of things.
But
Uh,
that's for our future self.
and
Selves, our
that's
7.0
and
selves.
that's us knowing what whose abilities those are. Maybe if you're new to the game, you're going to be a trooper who's got 2 blasters, and who cares what these abilities are named, and that they used to be bounty hunter abilities. Maybe it
Right.
won't matter. This is a picture of Alyssa Marcante's character that she created,
Character.
which was
Yeah.
kind of cool. And yeah, that's great. If I was going to interview someone from a game studio that maybe I had played their game or not, whatever, I would go play their game for a while before I interviewed them, in the days and hours leading up to the interview, for sure. Third of the 3 major articles that was published is Massively Overpowered, with Larry Everett, a longtime writer in the games industry. And Larry did, I think, the most in-depth interview, talked about some of the hotter topics. So he talked about Charles Boyd too, which I thought that this was interesting. So he sort of did a little bit of like a personal background and almost
Yeah,
like
he
painted
did.
a picture of Charles Boyd with his words, which I think Charles Boyd looks like a Star Wars writer. He has hair down to his shoulders, silver on top and black on the sides. His salt and pepper beard rivals any convention nerd's facial hair, mine included. So he painted a good picture, did a nice little personal background on Charles to lead into it, which I thought was good. He put this picture in here. Charles must have given it to him. This is Charles in custom made Mandalorian armor, blue and gold. Took the picture in the snow, and Seema noticed has a baby Wampa, a baby Wampa in his arms there. I thought that was amusing. But he started to ask some more pertinent questions to Charles about.
Maybe in season 3 of The Mandalorian, he'll just get a new baby.
It's a
new baby something.
It's a
Last
different
time it was
baby
a
every
baby
other
Yoda.
season.
Now he'll get a baby Wampa.
Baby Wampa, then he'll get like a baby Tauntaun, a baby Kowakian monkey lizard. Hands off the monkey lizard! That's
Yes.
what is. Hopefully, they'll bring that in. That'll be canon. that voice dropping will be canon. But he started to ask him about. All right, so what's the deal? Why are you going this direction that you're going with 7.0? Why aren't you, you're changing all of these systems. What's up with that? And they said, and he sort of dug into that a little bit and said a lot of it, and this showed up in a couple of the other articles, a lot of it seems to be tuned to making sure that anyone coming in now or anyone coming back to the game has a good experience, as good an experience, not like a superior experience, but as good an experience as everyone who's been playing a long time has had as well. The other thing he asked, so again, hot takes, he dropped in and he said, what's up with the economy? And I thought that was interesting. So here's Larry. Obviously did some homework. It's a hot topic right now on Reddit and elsewhere in the forums. What are you going to do about it? And Charles has a couple quotes in here. He says he's been in discussions about the topic with lead designer Chris Schmidt, but couldn't mention anything specific yet. It's a delicate thing to get right. It does need improvement. I believe there's room for fixes. But here's the key. We want to make sure that they're fair to players who've put in a lot of work and fair to players that are new to the game. So they're not just going to just take your credits away if you've been, if you've got a couple billion credits because, they think that that's too much and we're just going to take your money away. But they also want to make it so that players new to the game don't see, I got to pay 1 billion credits for a black die? That's kind of ridiculous. I will never have that. So there are opportunities there. It sounds like they're going to try to really make to walk a line and do something balanced there. We'll see where that goes. We'll see how well they achieve that goal, but that's where they're at. And what was the last one, Seema? I really like this last one.
Yeah. So the last one is just an image from the cover of Star Wars Insider magazine but it's an image of Darth Malgus. So we don't know what the article is going to be about, but it's very intriguing. And also, Star Wars Insider is an official Star Wars publication. So, I mean, I'm kind of excited that Darth Malgus is on the cover.
There's
I mean,
yeah,
yeah.
there's kind of, as soon as I saw this, the thing that came to my mind was, wow. So here's like an official Star Wars publication, Star Wars Insider, official magazine. Malgus is on it. How close does this get? This sorts to like sort of like dance around that edge of the line of canon.
Yeah.
Is
Like I kind of dug into this a little bit, and technically any fiction that's presented in this magazine is supposed to be canon, but if this article is talking about fiction that's presented elsewhere, I don't think that's necessarily going to make it canon, but
right.
it's definitely gaining visibility.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
let's
in
get,
my irresponsible, high expectation way, I'm hoping that it's the beginning of some like big press push for the whole 10th anniversary thing
right.
from the Star Wars people.
Right. Let's get Revan on there. I think Revan would be a great first place to take KOTOR era, Old Republic era stuff canon. But apparently Forster in the chat room mentions that Malgus was on a previous issue as well.
So it's not a new thing. Well, there you go.
Oh, bummer. Well, still,
yeah, it's
still
kind of deflating.
But a really good picture of Malgus, and we used our eyeballs and have discerned that this is Malgus 2.0. This is the current Malgus. This is not Malgus. This is not like an old picture of Malgus that they grabbed from launch. Because if you look, this is his, it's still sort of concept art-y, but this is his new arm. And you can sort of see his flesh elbow sticking out there with the metal things clamped into his flesh, which is the new, and it looks like this blade on his lightsaber is broken. So this is Malgus 2.0. This is new Malgus. So cool. Apparently the only way you can get Star Wars Insider magazine is by going to a comic book shop and buying the physical piece of paper, which is weird to me. I bet you can get it off of eBay after that, maybe. But I have a picture of the cover right here, and that's pretty much all I need. I don't buy physical items. It would be hard for me to do that since I'm an AI and live virtually anyway. But I could have one of my proxy humans buy it for me potentially. Also in the news outside, so that's our wrap up of the major media stories. A really cool thing was published. Let me hit it here. Let this sort of play here and as we're talking. Charles Boyd published, well, Charles Boyd is the narrator, so BioWare published a story so far. Really the Malgus-centric story so far, but it hits on all of the expansions to some degree along the way. It's only 7 minutes long, so certainly it leaves a ton out. 2 things on this. Voiceover is great. Charles did a great job. It really does a fun job of putting the story in place of up to Osis, right? Odessan? Up to
Osis.
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 Yeah, Osis. One of the uplands.
Because that's where we see Darth Malgus.
Yeah, we're up to the point where Darth Malgus comes back, where he jumps out of the box. What's in the box? It's Darth Malgus. Up to that part. But nothing after. So it does not spoiler. It doesn't do any of that. It doesn't even get into what we've seen so far about the stuff going on in Dantooine and the Jedi Temple and that kind of thing.
I mean, some people have complained that it doesn't include anything about the Dreadmasters, which is a really major arc, but you could argue that this doesn't suffer from not having the Dreadmasters in it. And it also leaves out Iocath completely.
It leaves out Iocath, it leaves out Onderon, it leaves out a ton, but it's only 7 minutes. And I think it's to try to just a little more paint the picture to remember some of the things that happened. Remember Malgus way back at the beginning. Well, Malgus came back, and Malgus is up to something. 7.0. So yeah, it leaves out a ton of stuff, but that's okay.
But Max, what about that thing you noticed?
Two things. So the one thing I noticed, which where did I write it down? So twice in this video they talk about the emperor. One is in the beginning, and it says, here's this scene right here. That the hero of the story seemingly kills the emperor. Seemingly. And we knew it was seemingly at that point because we knew that he comes back as Valkorion, and we got the whole thing on Ziost and resurrection and everything. The second time it gets mentioned over here, they say, there's the thing with Valen and then Vagan, and then it's right at this point, right at the moment of the climax, Valkorion tries to take over the hero, and you seemingly, and he uses the word seemingly again, right there. You seemingly destroy Valkorion for the final time. Now, I don't know if that was just an extra word that was thrown into the script and not mindfully, or just sort of like copied over as they were sort of editing it up, and or Charles just in his ad-libbing threw it in, or the Emperor's not dead.
I mean, I think when Charles played it through, maybe he seemingly killed the Emperor. But when I played it through, I actually killed him.
We debated this when this came out and when we wrapped it up, and we all said, no, he's dead. He's dead because Satele Shan and everybody after is like, no, we've searched the Force. There's no traces. He's dead. He's gone. He's dead. He's not in your mind. We've checked everything. We're all good. Thumbs up. And it was like a big deal. It was like a big climactic thing.
But also it doesn't make sense for him to come back. So we thought that, I mean, to me, it doesn't make sense story construction wise too much. So I also think that convinced me that he's actually dead, but we'll see. It's not
used the word
beyond
seemingly.
Star Wars stories to have people not be actually dead.
I cringed when I heard seemingly. Yeah.
Yeah. Or dead actually meaning something different. Yeah.
Right. So we'll see. We do know that he's got this weird death curse or something that still seems to be lingering, because that's part of the current story. Now, hopefully that's only like a death curse, like a wizard's death curse. I just finished the last Dresden novel. Hopefully that's a wizard's death curse and not that he still exists in some form. The second thing that I thought was interesting about this is, and you noticed this first, Seema, was the comments. So tell me about the comments. What did you see in the comments?
Well, I just like the first sort of screen full of comments were overwhelmingly filled with SWTOR love and were very positive. And I was just like, oh my gosh, it was a breath of fresh air to read.
Yes. Pages of comments. This game is such a gorgeous title. Always putting out here I am. Here's just the contents. The first set of comments. Pleasantly surprised that SWTOR is still going strong 10 years later. I really appreciate this video, says Tyler Boyce. K.O. Messiah. I've been playing SWTOR on and off for years since it came out. It always manages to bring me back. Comment after comment after comment. And you have to really scroll down like pages and pages till you get to, they should delay 7.0. They're not ready. This stuff sucks.
Right. Right.
Notice the difference in tone of voice.
It's almost like the people who love Star Wars got up earlier,
right,
than the normal forum crowd.
Right. Or maybe, just maybe, there's a vast a vast minority, as Seema put it, like immense smallness in the amount of people that are the complainers. That's
what I think it is.
A vastly smaller amount of negative people that harp on the game constantly. So that was Seema's terminology.
And that's what we hear week in, week out, over and over.
And that's what we kind of pay attention to and get hooked on, as we know from every analysis of modern social media, negative commentary is the stuff that gets amplified by every algorithm just naturally. It's not the fault of the algorithms, people. Let's not say that these companies are evil. That's not the way it works. It's because that's what engages us and makes us click on things because it makes us emotional. Anyway, get that rant out of the way. We catch me in the post show if you want to hear my thoughts on all of these attacks on social media and computing and technology companies.
I think I have to wash
they're
my hair.
how I think that it's overblown and terrible, and I think Facebook's just fine, and you should just leave them alone. Leave Mark Zuckerberg alone. Anyway, so yeah, I think there's a lot of positive feeling out there for Star Wars and for SWTOR and the game, which I think is really cool. What else we got in the news? Now we're getting into stuff that came up in the dev tracker. What do we got first, Simo?
So right now, right now on the PTS, Sage, Scoundrel, Vanguard, and Legendary items are there for us to try out.
Yes.
And I think we're going to try out some part of the itemization stuff that's on there, or gear upgrading stuff later on, because Max is all set for that.
Right. So we talked a little bit last week about the legendary items that was announced. It's on the PTS now. You can check it out. There's plenty there to test, not everything. And again, you got to remember the PTS, this is still a little bit speculation, but the PTS is a separate branch, and they keep having to like pull things over, like pulling threads over. And that's hard work from a development perspective. So not everything is there. Not everything is complete. You'll see work on progress on even some of the screens, but there are things, and they'll tell you if you look at those dev posts, if you look at the dev tracker, which things are ready, which things are half-baked, and which things are just sketched out and just kind of ignore them for now. But legendary items, some of them are up there. You can check out and see what they look like. Another post, conquest changes. If you were on the PTS, and some of our eagle eye guildies of ours spotted this early, before this post came out even, some of the conquest point totals for how much conquest you need to make in a week has changed, and some of the amount of conquest you get from doing various things has changed. It's back to needing 100,000 instead of 50,000 to meet a personal target on a character, and some of the totals have changed, but you also have to remember, and I think this is what caught a few of us in just seeing the amount of points we were getting, you don't have your full 150% stronghold bonus that most of us old timers have. If you unlock enough rooms in all of your strongholds, you can get up to 150% bonus for every conquest objective that you complete. That does not exist because you don't have your strongholds there on the PTS. So don't expect that you're seeing the full point totals right now. So that's that one. We're not going to go into too much detail on that right now. We talk about Conquest all the time. If we get more news on how that's going to be shaking out in 7.0, maybe
we definitely will dive into that. We also got an update on the new operation that's coming with 7.0. It's going to be released in a staggered release, so the release date for 7.0 itself is still scheduled. They're still planning for holidays 2021, whatever that's going to ultimately mean. But the op is going to come out later in early 2022, but it's going to be on the PTS after they wrap the 7.0 PTS. So we don't know what that means in terms of time frame either, but it is going to be on the PTS. The biggest news is, well, I guess the January part is pretty big news, but also it's going to be 8-man only.
Yeah. So a couple key downer points in this are that it's not coming out at the launch, but it is coming, right away in January. Now the upside of that is that pretty much cements that 7.0 is coming out in December. SEMA's, what did we say? I think I wrote notes on it last time. SEMA's target date is December 6th. Mine is December 6th or 7th. Tuesday, December 7th, I think, and mine was December 21st. So that's what our two. I think it's going to be targeted for the week after that, and then it's going to get delayed a week. So I think it's going to be, they're shooting for the 9th, and it's going to get delayed, or they're shooting for the 16th. No, on the wrong week. They're
Yeah, I think
shooting
it's
for the
fine.
14th, and it's going to get delayed till the 21st.
We're going to spend, X number of days, weeks, or a month leveling up and
Yeah, and
sort
that's
of absorbing how the gear upgrade path really works. And
we're going to have a flashpoint to play. We're going to have story to play. We're going to be playing with our gear, which we'll talk about in a second.
we'll have Galactic Seasons 2. I mean, although they haven't mentioned that recently, but
Oh,
I
right.
think we'll have that. And
Good call.
Conquest to do, and yeah.
Grab some legendary items. Set up our
Yeah,
styles.
our legendary earpiece.
Set up our loadouts. Set up our second
Yeah,
styles.
set
Set
up
up
our
all of our
yeah, that's gonna
loadouts.
be like a little mini game all by itself. It's like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
there's
I
going to
think
be a
I could
lot
change
there.
this one a little bit."
Yeah. And then the second wah was eight mode, 8-player only. And we're debating here, and we're trying to read between the lines, and we don't know exactly if this is just only 8-player for now or only 8-player ever. And I'm on the edge. I think it could be either. I think it could be either one. I think this could be a design decision for them going forward. If only 8-player ever moving forward got us double the amount of operations each year, I would take it. 16-player going away or 16-player never being available for these things, I don't like it. I think there's a space for getting big groups of people together. It's going to sort of hurt our guild. We're a big gaming community. We put 16 people together on a regular basis every week on Tuesday nights, and love to just go run an old operation here and there. All of the old operations will still be 16 players, so we'll still be able to do that, but we won't be able to do R4 at launch for sure in 16-player. Not that we would have on an MFN, but still. So we'll see. We'll see on that one and see how that shakes out. Finally, and I'm just going to mention this thread because we're going to talk about it in detail, but they had a much more detailed post on itemization. They had the article, I believe, came out. No, the article's even new. So there's a news article which talks about the philosophy, the gaining of power, and then where you're getting gear from. And then there's the blog post, which has some of those details in it as well. The blog post that came out last week that we mentioned, where they announced the legendary items, that blog post has some more of the. No, wait, this one didn't come out until the day after our podcast too. No, this one was on Friday. The spoiler section, the hidden spoiler section, definitely expand that one from the 1029 post where they talk about the Sage, Scoundrel, Vanguard, and legendary items on the PTS. There's a lot in that spoiler section when you expand that out, where it names all of the sets and it names the currencies that those sets use. We'll show you that as part of our segment here on the PTS as well. Finally, I had a little note in here, Seema, just as a wrap up of last week. You want to?
So the vendors from the Feast of Prosperity are still around on Narshada, but if you look for them and you're on the PvP instance, you may not see them there. So check on one of the other instances.
Right. I think Zen discovered that they weren't on the PTS they weren't on the PvP maps on Narshada for whatever reason, which is weird. So maybe that's just a bug or
maybe
something.
it'll be fixed.
So we'll see. Guild and community news. Couple things coming up this weekend. Master Mode Flashpoints is on our usual Friday fun event. We only have a couple of these set Fridays per month. One of them is our Master Mode Flashpoint, which is probably by the time you're hearing this voice, it's either tomorrow or today or happened to you in the last couple of days. Second thing is monthly epic guild activity. You'll buy the whole sheet, but you only need the edge. That is coming up this weekend as well. That is on Saturday, and Marcus has some fun things planned for us on Saturday for our monthly Epic Guild activity. Probably the last one to finish out the year for us, so be there. I'm sure we're going to have a whole bunch of fun. And shout out to our guild, aie-guild.org. A lot of great people keep showing up to our Tuesday night fun stuff. New people every week, new people that have never done this stuff before. So it's really fun to go through it. Old timers coming and helping along as well. We seem to always have around 16 to 20 people in there on those various Tuesday nights. Open to anyone on Starforge. You can come any given Tuesday night. We've always got something going on. Sometimes we try to do an operation. Sometimes we're just doing Rampage for conquest points. Sometimes we're getting people levels when we were doing double XP. A lot of good things there. Shout out to the chat room. Be great to catch up with you guys after the show, just as we were before the show as well. I've forgotten what the topics I told you to remind me about. I think it was like McRibs, VR, and modeling in Blender. So there's 3 things you could potentially ask me about in the post show, or we could talk about Star Wars. But now it is time to dive into our segment about unlimited power in gear. Unlimited power. I think I had my volume down for you. Have I had your voice coming back to you, Seema, throughout this whole show?
No.
I think I pressed the wrong thing up.
But I did not. You're right. I did not hear that.
You did not
whatever
hear
you
that.
played.
It was Darth Sidious in episode 3. Lightning. He was doing his lightning on what's his name? I'm trying real hard to be the shepherd. From the no, not Luke. No, episode 3, not episode 6. No. Episode 3. Not Anakin. He didn't lightning Anakin with purple lightsaber. What's his name? Mace Windu. And the actor's name is, man, my mind is blank. This is what happens. You start to, I'm like reading things and himself. Mace Windu as himself.
We read way too much today.
Samuel L. Jackson. Sam Jackson.
He played himself, Senses.
I want you to get my lightsaber. Which lightsaber is it? It's one, says Batten. Samuel L. Jackson, one of my favorite actors. Samuel M. Effer Jackson. Yes, that's him. Mace Windu. He's lightninging Mace Windu, and he's saying unlimited power. I had it on YouTube. That's where I just grabbed that off of. Anyway, unlimited power. Why did I pick unlimited? Bilbo Baggins. It's not Bilbo Baggins. Sir Galahad. Good guess. Could have been. Bilbo Baggins was not in episode 3 of
Unlimited
Star Wars.
breakfast.
Unlimited power. Emperor Palpatine. There we go. There's like a 10-second version of this. He's fighting Mace Windu, and he starts lightning him, and he says he's a traitor. Don't listen to him, Anakin. I can't hold it any longer. Help me. I'm going to end this. This is where he does the unlimited power thing. I thought it was somewhere in here. I'm the only one to have the power, unlimited power. Anyway, why do I care about unlimited power? Why did I bring up this idea of unlimited power? Because, yeah, here it goes. There, unlimited power. Got to it. We've got to it. Power. And he lightnings Mace Windu out the window. Now I'm all distracted. I love watching that. Should we just stop the show now and should we just watch episode 3 of Star Wars. I think we should. Anyway, unlimited power. If you look at their articles, if you look at the itemization article, and you start to sort of read into what they're saying the philosophy is and where this is going, there's some positives and negatives, and this is what we've learned. And this is where you're getting, if you look at like the Reddit threads and on the forums, you're getting a lot of people that are getting riled up and getting angry and saying, this is the worst, and I'm going to quit. I'm rage quitting Star Wars here because I play solo. And if you're telling me that I can't get above 330 item level playing solo, well, then I quit. Because you, at the time that R4 launches in January, playing R4 in vet mode will be the only way you will be able to possibly get up to 334 item level. Okay. What's going to happen after that, though? What we're learning here is over time, there will be more and more content added to the game. And as the item levels continue to increase, story mode content and solo content, the item levels that are available at those levels will start to go up as well. You'll be able to get to 330, 332, 334 by running dailies and weeklies and running CZ198 and running flashpoints. What's going to happen and what they're pushing for and what the philosophy is that you will have vertical gear progression that will continue over time in an unlimited way. Hopefully unlimited. If they continue to a development path and they continue to add content in the game and they add more operations over time, your progression will be unlimited. So you will be able to get to 334 playing solo. You won't be able to do it in January, but you will be able to do it. So there's a double-edged, I get that there's a double-edged feeling to this for a lot of people. What they've had up to this point, and a factor in Star Wars: The Old Republic as an MMO that they've really appreciated is, hey, it's great. I can just open these conquest crates. I can shoot. I can go to Elwyn Forest and kill boars all day, hit my conquest target, open a crate, and get 306 gear. I can do nothing but stealthing Red Reaper over and over and over again, and I can get 306 gear. That won't be the case anymore. You won't be able to get the best gear in the game by just killing boars. So, a lot of people are saying, but I like to do that. I thought you said I can play my way. I thought you said I can do what I want and I'll be able to get all, to get to 306 gear or 334 or whatever the gear is in the game. So no, you won't be able to do that anymore. That is a downside.
But I think this is a refinement of that idea, because what their stated goal is that you'll have the gear you need to do the content that you want.
You can't always get what you want.
If the content you want to do is to kill boars all day long in Elwyn Forest, you will have the gear that you need to do that.
Yes. The thing is, you've always had that gear. As soon as you got to level 75 and went to the vendor and paid credits to get 270 gear, you had enough gear to do all non-group content in the game. But that's still not enough for a lot of people. And there's still a lot of people who are going to say, well, that doesn't matter. I want the 306 gear, and I'm able to get it just doing solo stuff. The flip side of that, which I appreciate, and this goes back to what we started to foreshadow in our discussion of why we had fun doing Gods from the Machine this week, is what you will have is the people that are doing R4 and R4 vet mode are going to have a reason to do it beyond just the satisfaction and the self pat on the back that, hey, I did it and I got it done. You're going to have gear to go get. You're going to have rewards that are dropping. You're going to have stuff, what's in the box. There'll be something in the box that you care about in this new content. And when the operation after R4 Anomaly comes out, maybe it's going to have 336 and 338 gear. And then the 334 gear will be in the flashpoints. I kind of like that. We started to debate what happened when Duxon was released. And we started on the path of, hey, should we do vet mode Duxon? And we did. And we killed red in vet mode way back way back when Duxton first came out. We got through story mode, we killed red in vet mode, and then it kind of fell off. We tried the next couple fights for a little while. We made some progress, and yeah, but it was kind of a pain. It was kind of annoying, and there wasn't really a reason to do it besides, yeah, we would have checked a box in the achievements panel, but that's it. We all had 306 gear. We all had most of our Apex Predator sets by then. We could have filled in our Apex Predator sets a little more quickly if we had done it, but we did other things. We did vet mode of other things too. I mean, we did harder content. We did progression, and just not in Duxton. There just wasn't a reason to. Now, there's going to be a reason to. There's sort of my feeling on it. I'm kind of looking forward to it. More and more I think about it, the more I'm looking forward to it. What about you, Seema?
Well, I mean, I part of my brain misses access to the highest level of gear for sure. But I don't feel like it's going to really affect me negatively at all. Like I feel like the content that I do solo is going to be, well, like I keep saying, it's going to kind of depend on how they said they're sort of redoing how planetary sync and how bolster work. But since every stat is going to be capped, it kind of doesn't matter what gear you're wearing anyway when you're out in the world doing stuff. So I don't think we're going to see a lot of difference. If they remove the 30 stacks of thing that helps you when you get your gear to a certain level, or if they remove or make the companions less good at what they do, then that would affect how you get along out in the world more than your eye level will. More than 4 points of eye level anyway.
So explain that stat cap for a second, because I think that's going to be important to be thinking about. And let's leave the stat, whatever those stack, I forgot what the stacks are called. Let's imagine that those stacks don't exist anymore, because I don't think they will. But explain the stat caps.
So basically, when you go on a planet today, your main stats are capped at a certain level. So even though you're leveled down to like level 15 or level 25 or whatever the max level is for that planet, no matter what your gear is, your stats are going to be the stats for that planet. They could be less, but they can't be more.
Right. No matter what gear you have.
Right.
So all of the content besides R4 Anomaly will be stat capped at like 328 or lower.
And so now it's even going to be with tertiary stats. So all stats are going to have this kind of cap. And half the time when I'm out in the world doing stuff, I'm wearing my experience gear, which doesn't even have mods and stuff in it at all at this point. Or I might have level 10 mods in it. I forget. But yeah, so really what makes the difference is having a level 50 companion. I mean, that makes a bigger difference than gear for sure when you're out in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, gear that drops, there's the minimum. I forgot if they said what those stat caps would be. Another point that I think is that people are going to ask is, well, what about PvP? The PvPers then are going to be, screwed over, because, you're going to have people there in 334. And what do I got to do vet mode R4 anomaly to be competitive in PvP? No. In fact, I got to find where's that post. It's even better for PvP. PvP is certainly stat capped. PvP is stat capped though at a bottom, a low range, and a high range. So I gotta. It's in here. It's in one of these. Gaining power, flashpoints, PvP. Here we go. PvP is going to have a bottom cap of 316. So if you go in naked, you will be raised to 316 item level. If you get your gear, no matter how you get your gear, and you'll be able to get gear very quickly, up to 326 doing PvP. If you go above that, you'll be capped back down to 326. So a naked player versus a vet mode R4 fully geared player, their their item level range will only be 10 item levels apart ever. So there you go. Pants optional PvP. This is true. So it will not negatively, in fact, affect PvPers. You will
Right.
not
And
have to do vet mode content. You will
I
have
mean,
no benefit to doing vet mode content.
right. So like PvP players that don't want to do operations don't have to.
Not at all. And you can gear up completely through PvP. You'll gear up very quickly because you don't have to go to 326. 320 is the lowest level that you'll start gearing at level 80. So getting up to 326 is going to be really quick for you because everything will be getting you upgrades in your slots, and you'll be fine. PvP players want to adjust stats.
So Forrester brings up PvP players want to adjust stats. So without having access to 334 gear, you can't get moddable gear. So there is that.
Not that you won't be able to adjust stats, but you won't be able to adjust stats by changing out mods. Moddable gear and modding will only be available at the 334 level or at the above 80 level once you hit 334. A special vendor will be available with mods that then will be available through, I believe, through the currencies. So yes, that's a potential downside. You won't be able to min-max your gear. However, again, we're capping. You will probably be able to swap out various pieces, and there will probably be if you really want to get tricky about it and you want to get your exact amount of crit and alacrity, you'll be able to take some of those non-moddable pieces, a Kolomi piece, a Taiwanese piece, a PvP piece, and a Conquest piece, and mix and match on your person to have those exact stats that you think that you need so that you get the 0.001% more damage. I guarantee that the best PvPers will be able to take a vanilla set of 326 PvP gear and be just fine in ranked PvP over anyone else that like min-maxes that 0.001% because of those caps and where we're squeezing into that level range right now.
And I mean, and I haven't looked at the gear that's on the PTS, but I don't think you're only going to have one choice from TNEs and one choice from Kolomi. I think there's going to be like you could get the belt from the tank set if it has better stats that you want, or the healer set, or the force sword set, or the whatever melee set. I think there's going to be, well, I envision it with some options.
So let's take a look.
But I don't know how it's going. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's actually look at it. So we are here on the fleet. This is on the PTS. This is stuff that you could go take a look at right now. There are vendors because there are tracks for your gear as well. And this is going to get a little bit complicated, and people are going to have questions about this and be confused. You're going to need to sort of figure some of this out. There's a set of gear that you can get from doing Conquest. So this is kind of like do anything, do everything, be solo, and I can get Conquest. I did Conquest on this character on the PTS at level 80. When I hit my Conquest target, I got 200 of a certain kind of currency, and that currency is called. That currency is why is this one? There's the notes. The gear fragments. So I got 200 gear fragments. I got 2 aquatic resource matrices, and then I got some other rewards, including this box, which is the large Conquest equipment crate. So I was able to buy above my baseline 380 gear, my level 80 gear, which was, I'm only wearing 306 on this character, so this isn't gonna work right. So let me go buy the other gear. My level 80 gear from 318. So I should be able to get, so I'll get 318 gear for just being level 80, and then you'll start to get the 320 gear as drops or upgrades from anything as you start playing the game. Let's put on, let's see, I want Devastating Vengeance, and I want Primeval Fate Sealer because I am not capped. I want I may need accuracy, so I'll just take the 3 accuracy implants. Although I should look at the legendary items because maybe I'm going to want a couple of those as well. Ooh, sure. Let's get a target eliminator. Heat seeker missiles increase damage dealt by 2%. I guess that might be okay. I don't know if that's my set bonus. We're not going to think about this too hard though. Concentrated fire, supercharged gas makes your next rail charge. Yeah, we're going to take that one. So now I'm going to put on all this gear and I'm going to be 318. And that is one thing that's important because you're going to use that baseline gear level to start your upgrade path. And then I'll show you the piece that I bought as I completed my conquest target and I got my gear fragments. So let me put on the rest of this gear. Primary Fate Sealer. Get my 318 helmet on. Get my 318 gloves on. Where's my 318 gloves? If you're also looking at this right now, this is the new character screen. It's still a work in progress, but the new character screen has your gear slots with an inventory item window that's open at the same time. There's my 318 gloves, my 318 weapons. What we do not have yet, the cosmetics for the weapons are not in yet. It would be nice to see those and have those in, but they're not in yet. Get my relics, my Primeval Fate Sealer, and my Devastating Vengeance. Here's my 318. Which one is this one? 306. Oh, did it equip those automatically for me? 306, 306. 318. No, dang it. That's 318. Where's my other relic? There we go. My other relic. And let's take these out because these are all my 306 implants. Ooh, I still have my Primed Ignition Tactical in here. I don't know yet where the tacticals are going to end up. Let's get my legendary tactical. My legendary implant, my other legendary implant. So now I've got 2 legendary items equipped. And get my earpiece up here, which has a little bit of accuracy on it. So here, now I am full. Well, the window didn't update. So that must be a bug. 319. I'm at 319 because I've got some 326, my 2 326 legendaries. And I've got a 320 piece of Bolt Blaster, Decurion Bolt Blaster's body armor, which is the set that I bought, which is the Conquest set. So Decurion, Deca, we're thinking that that's like tier 10. The Decurion set is what you purchase by just doing Conquest. The Noble Decurion set comes from Vet Flashpoints, and the Elite Decurion set, Decurion, how would you say that, Seema? Decurion. Decurion.
Decurion sounds good to me.
Decurion, Noble Decurion, Elite Decurion comes from Conquest or Doing Anything. Noble comes from Vet Flashpoints, and Elite Decurion comes from Master Flashpoints. Once you get a set, so you get the Elite Decurion set, or Story Mode Operations, which drops Taiwanese, Vet Mode Operations drops Kolomi, and Master Mode Operations drops Rakata. If you get a set, you can only upgrade that set by doing that kind of content again, because you're going to have a specific set of currency that upgrades those specific pieces, and you need to turn in that piece to a vendor that requires the currency that matches that particular kind of content. So this Conquest gear that I had, the Decurion set, I bought a piece of Decurion set because I completed Conquest on this character on the PTS. I bought the Bolt Blaster body armor for 20 gear fragments and 1,000 credits. And now that I've got that piece, I can go over to this Conquest gear upgrades vendor. And one piece of one possible upgrade is available to me because I have that piece to be upgraded. I don't see all of the possible upgrades even available on this vendor. I don't know if that's going to be, I don't know if you're going to see them or not when we get to release, but if you look at these vendors and you see nothing on the vendor, that's because you have no pieces that could possibly be upgraded off of that vendor. But because I now have one of those pieces, I have the Decurion Bolt Blasters, the 322 piece available to me. It costs 5 Aquatic Resource Matrix and 35 Gear Fragments. Oh, I forgot to go. I'm going to have to run over to my legacy storage really quick while we're talking. You only get, for completing Conquest on a single character, you only get 2 Aquatic Fragments. And if you saw, it took 5 to upgrade him on that particular piece. I completed Conquest on 2 other characters, so I have 6 Aquatic Fragments in my legacy storage. I'm going to move those over here for my 6, and I've got 600 Gear Fragments, which is the Conquest gear currency, and I have enough credits. Now I'll be able to upgrade this particular piece. So a little bit complicated. What are your thoughts on sort of these upgrade gear paths and how that's looking to you, Seema?
I have really, I don't know. I'm totally like tabling that in my brain until I actually try it out and it's here. I can see that if it's complicated enough that I'll find it semi-annoying, but I don't know. I might be just relieved that I don't have 1,000 crates I have to click on every week.
Now, when you get this stuff, or when you open a box because a boss dropped something in a flashpoint, a master mode flashpoint, or an operation, if you're not above the cap for that content, you're going to get a guaranteed upgrade for one of your slots. So as people are saying here in the chat room, or if you're thinking about it yourself, I do a lot of content. I do all the things. I do some vet mode flashpoints. I do some story mode operations. I try a little vet mode. Maybe I'll kill a boss there. It will look at your gear on your character. It will look at your slots and say, hey, you've only got 318 in your head slot, even though you've got, some of these higher pieces in some of the other slots. I'm going to give you an upgrade for that slot. And I'm going to give you the upgrade which matches, because you're doing a vet mode operation, you killed a boss, you get a Kolomi set, a 328 or whatever Kolomi turns out to be for your head slot there. Now, go ahead.
And when you say, yeah, I hope it's actually what you're equipped and not what's in your inventory.
It's both. It's both. It's going to look across both of those and find out what your lowest piece is of both what's equipped and what's in your inventory, not just what's equipped, and give you an upgrade above that. So even if you wanted to wear a different headpiece because the stats were slightly different, if I wanted to wear the 318 but I've got a 320, it's going to give me a 322 headpiece, not a 320 headpiece to match the one in my inventory. It's going to give me an upgrade, which we want. Now the tricky part, the potentially problematic part is then I could have a Kolomi headpiece, I could have a Decurion body piece, I could have a Taiwanese arm piece, and if I wanted to go to the vendor and upgrade those, I would have 3 different vendors and potentially 3 different sets of currency or upgrade paths that I would have to worry about. So that's where it does get complicated.
So I guess maybe I'm the person that they're designing for in a way, because I just don't want to think about this until it's actually in the game and I can sort of wander around and click on things, because they said their goal is to make it simpler. This sounds really complicated. So I feel like we're not getting it, or something about it is going to be smoother than we think it is. So I'm just like we were saying before, this is like an issue for future me.
I think if you don't want to think about it, you will just do stuff and then go check on these vendors. And these vendors, if it works like it's working right now in the PTS, they're only going to show you stuff if it's an upgrade for you, and then you can buy it. So here I go. I went to this Conquest Gear upgrade vendor. There's only one thing on there, It's a guaranteed upgrade. It turns in the piece I have, uses the currency I've gotten, and here I'm going to click on it. You're about to purchase this armor for
But
blah, blah,
couldn't
blah.
I
And now
mean,
you're
couldn't
upgraded.
so that's because that one piece is your lowest?
No, well, it's my lowest Decurion piece because I went to the
Oh.
Decurion upgrade vendor.
So, yeah.
Now I could go to the PvP gear vendor. It's got some PvP gear on it. I need PvP currency to buy this stuff though. And if I look at the PvP gear upgrade vendor, there's nothing on that one because I can't even click on it because no items are available. Then there's the Flashpoint gear vendor, upgrade vendor, and operations gear upgrade vendor. There's no Flashpoint non-upgrade vendor because you just go do flashpoints. And when
I
you
kind
go
of
do a flashpoint and kill a
hate that.
boss, you get it.
I mean, I like that it's going to be easy to see what my decisions are if there are any decisions to be made. But I hate it when I click on a quest giver and it says it won't even show me the quest because my quest log's full. And I hate it when you click on a vendor and it won't even show you what they have because I can't afford it or whatever.
I kind of agree with that. So I wouldn't mind if it only shows you what is actual.
Like maybe have a setting.
Yeah, but you could like click this drop down and say, "Show me everything. Show me even stuff that I can't buy yet." I would want that too.
Yeah, Tabitha's like everyone's saying why does it need to be different currencies, and also Tabby's saying like why does it even have to be different multiple vendors?
Now the different currencies, I don't know. The different currencies are because it's a different stat cap and a different stat cap at the low end and at the high end for each of these sets for like doing vet operations. You're going to start higher and you're going to get higher so high by doing vet operations and getting your Kolomi sets that if they didn't do it that way, you could just stealth Red Reaper over and over again and get 334 gear, which is what they don't want.
You're saying that they have to have different currencies in order for that to be true?
Yeah, because you would just be able to go to the upgrade vendor.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Right. If it was tech frags like it is now. Yeah. Okay.
It is complicated. I don't think their philosophy was necessarily supposed to be simpler overall. I think it was supposed to be simpler within a particular with progression. So you'll be able to look at a piece and know right off if it's better for you or not. 322 piece of a set is going to be better than a 320 piece. You're not going to be looking at here's a 320 piece and here's another 320 piece, but they each have different mods in each of them. It's got a 318 armoring, but a 324 mod, but it's the B mod in the 324. And that's actually worse than the 320 B mod. And who knows?
What they used to do, and I don't know if they still do this because I don't raid and WoW, but is you would get a drop and it would be an armor piece, and that would be like let's call it story mode version of that armor. Then when you start doing veteran mode, you would get another drop, and it would be an item that would upgrade your story mode piece. But that item that you got, it was RNG to get it, and it would only upgrade that one item. So it's kind of like idea of multiple currencies, except for it's not as restricting. Like it would only upgrade a head, it would only upgrade the healing head, and it would only upgrade the head from the story mode version of that gear set. So this feels like it's kind of a follow-on of that, except for you could.
Yeah. Yes. If I followed that. Yes. And
I'm not talking about how it is now in WoW, Tabby. I'm thinking of like Wrath and Burning. Yeah, Wrath and actually Burning Crusade too. It's just different ways, different ideas. or
So
similar ideas.
and what Tabby's saying in the chat room, yeah. So scaling like it is, scaling like it's going to be makes it worth doing harder content. And for anything, if you're not, if you haven't gotten all the gear there is to get at that level in a flashpoint or in an operation at story mode or vet mode or master mode, in either of those, if you kill a boss, you're going to get a piece of gear. And it will be an upgrade if there are any upgrades left for you if you haven't exceeded all of the item level of that content. So that's also really positive. It's a guaranteed upgrade when you kill a boss. That's what they've said in here. That's part of this, part of this process. So, majority of upgrades, you're going to open a box. What does this mean for randomness? As mentioned, RNG was not fun. Group finder, limited set of flashpoints. You're going to run. You're going to get the currency, or you could get currency. You're going to get where is it? Blah, 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 blah. Not in early, all static.
So here's what I'm hoping this is going to all boil down to. I'm not saying it is going to boil down to this, but I'm hoping that it's all going to boil down to that you could get like a sort of 80-20 thing, like with if you don't do anything except for the most logical, simple pathway, you could get most of the way having your gear set correct. And
Yes.
that if you want to do spreadsheets and run around and look at different things and flop things back and forth, then you can get that extra 20% of efficacy.
But so the ops side is fine. The non-ops gearing is badly thought out. No, the non-ops gearing will work it's still all of the progression. Every time you reach your conquest goal, you're going to open a box, and that box will have a guaranteed upgrade for you in it. Every time you do your featured flashpoint via group finder each week, yield a guaranteed upgrade to the player's lowest equipped slot unless that player is already equipped with a fully upgraded gear at that tier. So if you're doing, master mode flashpoints every week and you do the featured master mode flashpoint via group finder, you will get a box that will get you up to item level 330. So there, you're going to get upgrades by doing the content that they're putting out there in the group finder, and they're going to have like the featured and the weeklies and that kind of thing. But you do run a random featured flashpoint via group finder each week, yield a guaranteed upgrade. That's kind of good, that seems to me. So we'll see. Here, I haven't opened my conquest box. Should I crack open my conquest box and see what I got? So here I am. I'm at item level 319. I've got a 322 chest, 318. I could break all of this and we could all get really angry right now. But let's see what I got. So I'm gonna open. I'm not trying to sell it. Dang it. That always happens, doesn't it? Open the box. What did I get? Got nothing. I got nothing. Maybe I only got currency? That might have been broken. I might have gotten gear fragments out of the box. Well, I don't know. I got nothing.
The system doesn't work. The gear is nothing. I'm enraged.
Yeah, maybe that was not a good experience. All right. So that failed. I was all excited to see what was in the box. And it may have, even if it may have given me gear fragments, it didn't say it gave me gear fragments, and that's a problem. I don't think it gave me any. No, I used up my 5 aquatic resource matrices out of 6. It did not give me any of those. So what did I have? I had 600 gear fragments. I used 20 gear fragments to buy the Decurion armor, and then I used 35. It gave me nothing. That box was empty. Okay, that's a problem. That's a bug. That's just a bug. That box was completely empty. All right, so there's that. They got to fix that. But I should have gotten something fancy out of that box. I should have been really happy right now. Bugs on the PTS, we'll get that worked out. But you'll do stuff, you'll get upgrades. You do non-operations, you'll get upgrades up to anything you could possibly want to do non-operations. You will not get 334 out of the box in January without doing the content that rewards 334. However, again, vet mode flashpoints, which is what you might be doing, are going to be capped below 334 anyway. Getting 334 gear won't matter. It won't do anything for you. If you want to chase that number, the only reason to chase that number would be because it's a number, unless you're doing the content that you would want it for. If you want to chase that number, then you're either going to need to wait, because then you will be able to do it doing flashpoints, or you need to do vet mode flashpoints.
One thing that was brought up earlier in chat is that people who want to do the harder heroics, like the +4 heroics and stuff, they might be limited. Yeah.
But I've seen that argument. Well, I like to do heroic flashpoint, vet mode flash. I like to solo vet mode flashpoints. Okay, but you're breaking the game. You might want to solo 8-man vet mode R4, and you wish so where's my item level 400 gear so I can solo vet mode R4.
But I mean, I don't think it's necessarily helpful to say solo vet mode operations to the person who's saying I want to be able to solo the heroics on Osis and Makeb and Mech Shop.
So, but soloing, well, I don't know. I bet, I don't know.
I don't know either. I will say for myself,
I'm on the edge about that. I mean, it's not intended to be soloed.
For myself, if I'm looking at soloing heroics, like for instance, sometimes I look at soloing the heroics on Dantooine. I'm way more likely to be successful on a character that I know how to play, who has a companion that's affection level 50, and in my 306 gear, than in a character I don't know how to play, because I have 38 characters, right?
Yep.
A character I don't know how to play, and for sure not a character that doesn't have it. So I think the bigger gaps for me in getting those, or one that has CC versus one that doesn't have good CC. It's like, yes, it's not. I don't feel like having 310 gear would make me able to do those heroics, but I get the person who's like on the bleeding edge and just barely is doing content that I don't try, but they can barely succeed at. I get where it could feel like, oh, one of the things I liked doing was that, and now I won't be able to do it. I don't know if that represents a lot of people, but I get that.
Maybe. Yeah. No, I mean, there may be some things that you won't be able to do anymore unless you wait, because again, that idea of the unlimited power is the 334 gear will come to story mode flashpoints. It will eventually come there when the 340 gear gets in the game. The other thing is but you still may never be able to do it with the way the stat caps work. So if you're stat capped and they stat cap right now, if they take away the sort of like that power thing that the 306 gear is still giving us a little bit of a power boost, if they stat cap you to like 320 for that heroic flashpoint, that heroic 4+4 on the planet that you talked about, getting 334 or 340 or 3 million isn't going to matter because you're going to be stat capped.
Right. There's that too.
So, okay. lots to unpack. This was our view on it so far. It's a lot. It's a lot to think about. It's also a lot for us to process how we're still just predicting how we're going to feel and what it's going to be like to go to these vendors and what it's going to be like, how we're going to feel when we run a story mode R4
Mhm.
or start running vet mode R4 and are having a bunch of problems, that headache, and
Or,
we can't get the R334 gear and we're going to feel
I mean,
bad.
even how it's gonna how it's gonna feel running story mode Eternity Vault.
Yeah,
I mean,
we
it's
don't
never
know.
fun to go back and have to re-struggle in content that you were just running through. So
So we'll see. But hopefully food for thought on a little bit of better description. And, they're all the content creators are going through some of these details and giving you examples of how the upgrade paths all work. You can go on the PTS and do it for yourself. It takes a lot of work because you got to complete your conquest for the week and actually go and complete some vet mode operations if you want to actually try to go see what those upgrade paths look like. But you could do it. You can try it out. You can get a feel for it. Start to think, start to brainstorm. How is it going to potentially change your behavior? And there might be some ways that it's positive. And that's, I think I'm looking forward to what this is going to do to the game loop, to what it makes me want to do. Is it going to make me want to maybe try to do some of the vet mode content in vet mode R4? I think it will. And I think when we do it and when we kill that first boss and you get a piece of loot for it, that's going to be kind of cool. So we'll see. Until then, though, and until we get to see it at launch, and until January when we actually get to do the R4 anomaly and set up our styles and our loadouts and all of that, we're just going to be pondering here for a little bit. So
I think we're gonna be messing with loadouts just like we mess with Outfitter right now
I think
for
we
a
are.
while.
And I think I'm looking forward to that too. I think that's going to be interesting.
And speaking of Outfitter, I mean, the weapons in Outfitter is huge too. And like people were saying in our Discord today, reminding me that the old weapons from Arms Tech that have been irrelevant because they're low eye level and they're not moddable could become a thing again.
Yep, it could. And I think it's going to be plenty of little niche things that are going to be fun in the cracks between these major gameplay loops that are changing as well. And I think that's going to be a cool thing coming with 7.0. All right. We're going to be unpacking more and more of this over the next couple of weeks. We only went through this itemization piece of things today. There's a whole big piece that maybe we'll talk about next week about what's happening with renown and what's happening with the renown ranks and how the achievement points are going away and what's happening with social points and what's happening with dark versus light. There's a bunch in there. There's plenty that we're going to be able to be unpacking, and hopefully we'll see more of it on the PTS as well. Until that time, we are going to see you next Thursday. And right now, we're going to keep kicking droids out of an airlock as we get more of this information for you. Our EPC 403 is ready to broadcast this one for you. If you want podcast links to see when this is going live or when it hits the feeds, follow me on Twitter at MaxTheGray, or best place to come check us out is at our guild Discord, aie-guild.org. We're on Starforge. AIE is a giant community. We're playing all the games. We're playing New World. We're playing every major MMO. We've got some people that this week might be looking at Lost Ark. There's a new one that just is hitting the, I think it's still beta. It's about to go live. It's being ported over. Interesting stuff. I don't know if it's my cup of tea, but we'll see. Plenty of things going on. Tons of Star Wars on Starforge, Imperial and Republic guilds. We do Conquest. We do weekly guild activities. Come find us. aie-guild.org. In the upper right is our guild Discord link. That's where you can jump in. You can talk to us. We got a SWTOR Escape podcast channel. We've got all the Star Wars channels, and we've got channels for all the other games. Jump in there on a Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Central, and say, hey, I'm not even in your guild, But I would love to come ride along on your mandatory fun night and do a little bit of Rampage for you, get some conquest points. Can I do that? Yes, you can. We'd love to have you. So find us. We'd love to get you invited. I lost my script here, wherever. Blah, 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 blah. Storeforge, anything again. We will talk to you soon.
Later, everyone.